I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm on it. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You're covered, Kevin.
Thanks, Melinda.
Wait, I have blah blah insurance, so person, come help.
Hey, Grandma. 6 callers ahead of us, Jimmy.
You're not helping.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. There to help you anytime, anywhere, anyway. That's getting to a better state.
Margie Gray in Indiana and David Smith in Clymer are there to help you.
Hi everybody, I'm Carly Krouse with the Indiana Gazette, and welcome to the 9th week of our high school football preview show. This week we're coming to you from Salzburg High School, where the Trojans are prepping for their game at Northern Cambria on Friday night. Week 9 includes some of the most important matchups yet, with many of Friday night's games having playoff implications. The Indiana Indians have a big one on Friday night in their section finale at Hollidaysburg. Beating Hollidaysburg won't be easy, but it would ensure the Indians of a playoff berth. If Indiana loses, it could fall all the way out of the playoff picture, depending on the results of other key games in the Greater Allegheny Conference, including Gateway versus Franklin Regional, Mars versus Hampton, and York versus Knock. As a side note, Indiana receiver Riley Stapleton is closing in on some more records. He needs 3 catches to pass Larry Moreau for the Indiana single-season receptions record, and 5 to pass Blairsville's Andy Ostash for the area all-time single-season record. Stapleton, a 6'5" senior, also has a chance to break the area and school all-time records for receiving yards in a season, both of which are held by former teammate Tyrell Veeney, who had 945 yards just 2 years ago. Stapleton has 809 yards and would pass Veeney with 137 against Hollidaysburg. Stapleton already owns the IHS and area records for career receptions and receiving yards. In other WPIAL action, Apollo Ridge travels to Burrell to take on the winless Bucks. The Vikings have already earned a trip to the playoffs and will try to stay on track in what should be an easy win. Apollo Ridge leads the area in total offense with 444.1 yards per game and scoring offense with 43.4 points per game. Burrell has scored only 77 points this season while giving up 314, or 39 per game. In another Class AA Allegheny Conference game, West Shamokin plays host to Deer Lakes. Both teams are out of the playoff picture, but are trying to tack on another W in the win column. The Wolves are 3-5, and the Lancers are 1-7. Derry, which lost a tough one to Burgettstown last week, plays at Waynesburg Central in an interstate conference game. With a win, the Trojans would wrap up their first 4-win season since 2008. In the Heritage Conference, Penns Manor visits Purchase Line in a big rivalry game between the neighboring schools. The Comets are 6th in District 6 Class A standings, and the Red Dragons are 8th. The winner will pick up a significant amount of points. Penns Manor is 6-2, and freshman quarterback Adam Dumm led the Comets to a 26-7 win over Ligonier Valley last week in his very first varsity start. Purchase Line is 5-3 and put 63 points on the board in a win over United on Friday. Purchase Line's Grant Seister leads the area in rushing with 2,030 yards. The Red Dragons are averaging 312.5 yards per game on the ground, while the Comets, who lead the area in defense, are allowing only 112.2 rushing yards per game. Blairsville, which clinched the Heritage Conference title with a 55-7 victory over Salzburg, is currently the top seed in Class Single A. The Bobcats are still unbeaten and have won each game by at least 2 touchdowns. This week, they play host to 1-7 United in the final conference game of the year. The Bobcats have allowed just 7.1 points per game and are setting themselves up for a game in Week 10 against undefeated Red Bank Valley out of District 9. The Lions played better under interim coach Scott Boring last week in its loss to Purchase Line, but they still have their work cut out for them this week. Homer Center is coming off a 34-6 loss to West Middlesex, but still sits in 5th place in the district standings. The Wildcats have a chance to pick up bonus points this week against AA Ligonier Valley and hope to get back in the mix to host a playoff game. Homer Center lost starting quarterback Aaron Brzezinski to a knee injury on Saturday, and he did not return to the game for the 2nd time this season. The Rams dropped out of a playoff position this week following their loss to Penns Manor, but they aren't far behind Southern Huntington and Forest Hills, which are tied for 7th place. Northern Cambria has a chance to win 2 straight games for the first time this season when it plays host to Salzburg on Friday. The Colts beat Marion Center last week to improve to 3-5. Their up-tempo offense has flourished in the past few weeks with senior Joe Olish at quarterback. The Trojans are looking for their second win and have struggled to stop their opponents all season. They have given up 378.6 yards and 42 points per game. Marion Center heads outside the conference for its final 2 games of the season, and it has a chance to win both. On Friday night, the Stingers travel to Altoona to take on St. Joseph's Academy, which has already lost to Penns Manor, Purchase Line, and United this season. Next week, the Stingers take on Glendale. Marion Center has lost 4 straight games and hopes to get a much-needed victory before the season ends. Elsewhere, Punxsutawney travels to unbeaten Karn City looking for a share of the Keystone Shortway Athletic Conference Large School Division title. The Chucks need a win to claim a share of the title with Karn City and Monato. That's all for this week. Be sure to check out Saturday's Indiana Gazette for full coverage of Friday night's games and watch live scoring updates Friday nights at indianagazette.com. We'll see you next week for the next edition of our preview show.